Natural physics is a concept astrophysicist LeRoy developed that explains in down-to-earth scenarios how the principles of physics could have come about from observing nature. Each episode begins with a scenario, followed by an example to illustrate the application of these principles in futuristic research at the frontiers of science, such as LeRoy's astrophysics doctoral research, and then concludes with an exploration of how these same principles could have very well been used by ancient cultures and civilizations. Mathematics is naturally encountered and incorporated as the exciting and fun tool of science that it is. Science is the window into our amazing world of nature, and mathematics is the tool to open that window. Natural physics encompasses current, futuristic, and ancient physics, and ties them together by the principles of physics that are common threads running throughout each.
Now, while I was in college, I found out that there's different areas of physics. The physics that studies light is called optics. The physics that studies sound is called acoustics. Atomic physics studies the atom. Nuclear physics studies the nucleus of the atom. And while I was in college, I had the opportunity to participate in a summer program for college students at the Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory, also known as Fermilab, which is also located in the Midwestern part of the United States, in Batavia, Illinois. This was my first time being in a research lab with real scientists, real physicists. You're given a project to do, and you're paid for it. It was a summer job where you helped to do research in a real-life physics lab. My first experience. And I actually went back to Fermilab 2-3 more summers. It was a paying job. It helped me to get through college, and I learned about the area of high-energy physics. Now, you know how scientists thought that molecules were the smallest part of matter? Those of you that have taken chemistry. And then scientists found out that molecules are made out of even smaller particles called atoms. And then scientists found out that atoms are made out of even smaller particles called protons, electrons, and neutrons, right? Smaller and smaller and smaller. Well, high energy physics believes that protons, neutrons, and electrons are made out of even smaller particles, and they're called quarks. Q-U-A-R-K-S, quarks. Nobody's ever seen one yet, but the theory in high energy physics is that that is the smallest parts of matter, called quarks. But hey, they could be made out of even smaller particles. And in order, okay, if I wanted to find out what this desk is made out of, how would I do it? Anybody know? Anybody tell me? If I wanted to know what this desk is made out of, how do I find out? What do I do? Break it apart, right? Take a saw, hammer, break it. See what's in it. Oh, this is what's in it. Well, in high energy physics, they use very high energetic protons, and they collide them together to try to break them apart to see what protons are made out of. That's the area of high energy physics. As I said, it took me 8 years to get through college, but I got there. I got my bachelor's degree in physics from Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I had to take so much mathematics that I minored in math as well. Mathematics is the tool of physics. Okay, I had my bachelor's degree after 8 years. Continuing to follow my passion, my dream, I went to graduate school to take more physics classes and to take more math classes. In graduate school, you only take classes in your area. So all I took was physics classes and math classes. And the thing about graduate school, you're given so much homework to do. You may be taking, like for me, I was taking 3 physics classes and some math classes, but the amount of work that you're given is so huge, you can't do it by yourself. You cannot do all the homework problems on your own. You have to work with your fellow graduate students. And that's on purpose. When you're in graduate school, you learn to work with other students to solve problems. That's good training to become a scientist. You learn to work with other scientists. Nobody can do it by themselves. Nobody can do it. You get by with a little help from your friends, right? I get by with a little help from my friends. You ever heard that song? Okay, all right. So, and in graduate school, you get a job, it's called a teaching assistantship, where you help to grade papers for other professors. Tests. You might even conduct a freshman physics lab. And you're paid just enough to have an apartment and to have a little food on your table. The joke in graduate school is, oh, you don't have to eat or sleep, you just have to study. And I literally remember a time when we got paid once a month, okay? Once a month at the end of the month. So I had gotten my check, and I needed to get to the bank to cash it. But I didn't have enough gas in my car to get to the gas station. Yeah, I was broke. You don't have any money in graduate school. They pay you just enough to survive. There was a gas station that I would normally regularly go to get my gas. So I went there and I asked the gas station attendant, could I put maybe $5 of gas in my car? I guess here that would be about 2,500. I asked him, could I just put that much, and then I can get to the bank, cash, and the bank was too far to walk to. So, can I just put that much in my car so I can get to the bank, cash my check, and I'll bring you back. I'll come back and pay you. And here, I'll leave my apartment keys so you know I'm coming back. He said, no. You go. He let me fill up my gas tank. Fill it up, which was probably about $15, so that I could go to the bank, cash my check, come back, and pay him for the gas. How cool is that? That he trusted me enough to let me do that. So in graduate school, you really have to follow your dream. You have to stick with it. It's not an easy road, but if you love what you're doing, again, you enjoy it. It doesn't matter. I got my master's degree. Oh, and by the way, in graduate school, just like in university, some of my classes I had to take over again. The math classes, I had to take them over again. But imagine that gas station attendant letting me fill up my car to get to the bank, to cash my check, to come back, and then pay him. There's good people everywhere that will help you on your way as you follow your dream. The energy is all positive. It's all positive. Okay, so normally it takes about 2 to 3 years to get your master's degree in physics. Well, it took me 6 years, okay? It took me 6 years to get my master's degree in physics from Tulane University in New Orleans, Louisiana. After I got my master's degree, I went back to Fermilab. Again, it's a paying job. I'm doing research. And actually, the area of high energy physics is very close to space physics, which I'll tell you about later. long afterwards, the opportunity came to be a graduate research assistant at the NASA Marshall Space Flight Center, which is in Huntsville, Alabama. Marshall Space Flight Center did a lot of research with the space shuttle. And as I talked about in the previous workshop, the research group that I worked with were developing an instrument that flew on board the space shuttle and could help determine the effects of the Earth's magnetic field on the space shuttle. We had a big vacuum tank in the laboratory where we tried to simulate the conditions in outer space. So I would be lugging in these big vacuum pumps, vacuum canisters. We would fill the tank with gas that simulates outer space. We'd put the instrument in it, and then we would do experiments so that we would have an idea of what would happen when the instrument flew aboard the space shuttle. It was great. I was at NASA. I had made it to NASA as a graduate student. I'll pass this around.
No.
Oh.
No.
Don't pass it around? Okay. All right. All right. I have my IDs. I'll show you after the last slide. Okay. Now, I was at NASA, Marshall Space Flight Center. I was doing research related to the space shuttle. But my dream, my passion was to be a full-time scientist at the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which is in Pasadena, California. Now, I was at NASA at Marshall, but I was a student. I wanted to be a full-time scientist. So I sent my resume out many times to JPL. Nothing, honey. Nothing, honey. I got nothing back. I sent my resume out. Sent it out. Sent it out. Sent it out. Nothing. Nothing. Not even a no. We're not interested. Nothing. And other students, other grad students at Marshall, they started telling me, unless you know somebody, unless you have some kind of a connection, nobody looks at your resume. Nobody looks at it. You don't know him. Who's LeRoy there? You don't know him. Why does he want to come to JPL? Now, I felt invisible. I felt like I couldn't be seen. JPL could not see me. They could not see how bad I wanted to be a scientist, how much of a good scientist I would make. They couldn't see it. They're all the way out in California. I'm in Alabama. How are they going to see LeRoy there? How are they going to meet me? And I can talk to them. The only way I could figure out to stop being invisible to JPL and to make myself visible, to make JPL see me, was to go there. Okay? They're not going to come to Huntsville. I'm going to have to go to California. That's what I decided. And the only way for me to get to California was to drive. Drive from Louisiana out to California. Now, luckily for me, one of the scientists at Marshall, he was good friends with the director of the recruitment office, the minority initiatives office at JPL. They had went to university together. He called her, told her about me. She said, oh, okay, I'll meet him, but I don't know when. So I said, all right, cool. So I had my parents' car. I had one suitcase. I put all my clothes in one suitcase. I put all of my physics books and math books in the trunk of my parents' car, and I headed out to California. That was the only way I knew to make myself visible to JPL. Show up on their front door. JPL? JPL, it's LeRoy there. Hello? Yeah, I showed up at their front door. So I headed out to California.